Wonderful. Great. Fantastic. So let's just gently breathe in. And on your next inhale, if you could breathe in like it's your very first breath. Wonderful. And with great joy and great peace, we'll just gently continue to breathe in. And with loving clarity and great goodness, we thank the presence of Mother, Father, God, and all the archangels and ascended masters. We thank as well the angelic realm, the elemental realm, our ancestors, spirit guides, animal guides, and guardian angels. We celebrate tremendous peace, wonderful joy, and wonderful love here right now. If we could just gently breathe in, and right where you are, exactly where you are, if we could just sense and feel the presence of Archangel Michael standing right behind you, perhaps to the degree that Archangel Michael is the chair or sofa or bed that the piece of furniture that you're engaged with right now, or the car seat. We could just breathe in and let Archangel Michael support you, and let Archangel Michael give you a nice hug from the back. If we could just gently breathe into that, and that might be very subtle. It might be like a flash, or it might be something sustained. If we could just breathe into that. And we thank as well the angelic realm, the elemental realm, our ancestors, spirit guides, animal guides, and guardian angels. We celebrate tremendous peace and wonderful joy being here right now, knowing that wonderful love is part of our day and part of our experience. And we celebrate the highest good being here right at this moment. So we'll just gently breathe in. Wonderful. And with gently breathing, and we'll just notice Archangel Michael's presence, and also just very simply noticing that you are here. And as we've spoken about in this book group and other moments, so just noticing the you who is here, and the you who is here being a powerful part of you. So we'll just gently acknowledge your conscious adult self who is engaged in this activity, and we'll invite all parts of you to engage in this held space, and to recognize that it's safe to be safe, and it's safe to connect with angels and goddesses and guides, and it's safe to receive help. So we'll just gently breathe in to all that. Wonderful. And if we can notice Archangel Michael duplicating himself, so there's 5 Archangel Michaels around you. And if we could just notice, maybe they're identical, maybe there's like 5 different shades of Archangel Michael, perhaps different shades of blue. If we could just breathe into these 5 Archangel Michaels. And just noticing his size, his bigness, and noticing the space where he's holding space for you. He is protecting you. He is guarding you. If we could just gently breathe into that. And with an inhale, if we could feel all parts of you coming back to you, if we could feel the positive sense of wholeness, wonderful. And with an engagement like watching a play or watching a sporting event where you are part of the experience but not the focus of the experience, if we could just let Archangel Michael be the focus, and if we could notice Archangel Michael, the 5 Archangel Michaels moving like choreography, and creating an enhanced sense of safety for you and every single part of you. So we'll just gently breathe into that. And if we could notice Archangel Michael addressing, so if Archangel Michael has access to currents of power and currents of focus, if we could let him divert any energy that's going to distress and letting one of the Archangel Michaels heal the distress, let the energy that's been going toward distress be diverted toward peace. So if we could just gently breathe into that and letting Archangel Michael, the multiple Archangel Michaels, heal all parts of you right now. And if we could notice all 5 Archangel Michaels smiling with serenity, and like getting a Olipop at the bank or the doctor, if we could just notice Archangel Michael providing you with sweetness and reward and assurance. So we'll just gently breathe into all that. And we'll notice, as we spoke about, if we see any fight or flight or freeze response, not as wrong or bad, but as a natural reaction, and any element of those responses that is maintained, perhaps for decades, perhaps for days or months or years, if we could just breathe in and with simplicity and gentleness, let's let Archangel Michael turn that off, like turning off the alarm. So if we could just gently breathe into that. And let's take a moment as our conscious adult selves, with our younger selves watching, like watching a play or a baseball game, and as our conscious adult selves, if we could just notice that you're okay, that's okay for things to change, that it's okay for the alarm to go off, be turned off. And we'll just do the simple action that we know works, which is, let's very simply, as your conscious adult self, we'll just assess your physical surroundings, where you are right now. So you're on a Zoom call, so there's technology. We could just notice the door, the window, the door, the other areas. So we'll notice those visually. We'll notice what you hear. I hear my friend downstairs watching the news and feeding the dog, and the wind blowing outside. And we'll just notice what you sense. Perhaps we sense the 5 Archangel Michaels. Perhaps we sense our younger parts of ourselves paying attention. So we'll just breathe into all that. And with that, we'll breathe in. And we'll say our own names out loud. I'll demonstrate. I am Mark. So just saying your own name. I am. I am my conscious adult self. And I am safe right now. It's safe for me to think right now. It's safe for me to be alive right now. It's safe for me to move right now. It's safe for me to make positive decisions right now. Thank you, Archangel Michael, for helping me in every part of my life. Thank you, Archangel Michael, for keeping me safe always. Thank you, Archangel Michael, for clearing my energy and my environments. And we'll just breathe in and let Archangel Michael do all that. So letting Michael cleanse the day. We'll just gently breathe in, and we'll say out loud, "Thank you, Archangel Michael, for surrounding me with 1,000 feet of unconditional love." Thank you, Archangel Michael, for surrounding me with 1,000 feet of unconditional love. And we'll just breathe into that expansive held space, 1,000 feet in all directions around you, which is a huge distance. So we'll notice 1,000 feet of unconditional love filling the space that you're in right now, moving through walls and windows, moving through all the spaces that you could see and the ones you can't see, through trees and doorways and cars and driveways and streets and structures. So we'll just gently breathe into all this. If we could just breathe in and coming back to your conscious adult self, your positive and powerful self. And as our powerful and positive conscious adult selves, we're helping our younger selves to acclimate and to integrate and to be even more present. So we'll just gently breathe in and saying your own name out loud once again. I am Mark. It's safe for me to make decisions. It's safe for me to be right here, right now. It's safe for me to be safe. I acknowledge that I've been scared in the past. I don't need to be scared right now. I allow all parts of me to calm down. I allow all parts of me to focus on good. I allow all of my spiritual support to help me, including positive intention. So we'll just breathe in and we'll say a few affirmations that are powerful. So we'll just gently breathe in and we'll say out loud, I allow all of my encounters and environments to be filled with love. Only love surrounds me. I align myself with love. I'm grateful for all the good in my life. And I welcome the highest good into every moment. Wonderful. If we could breathe in, and whether we see them, feel them, sense them, hear them, or know that they're there, we'll just notice the younger parts of you who've been observing this. We'll just speak to them. We'll speak to them as a group. And we'll say out loud to them, good job. Thank you for listening. I want you to go have fun. I'll handle all the adult stuff. I want you to have fun and rest and play. It's safe to play. Good job. Wonderful. So we'll just breathe into all of this. And if we could just breathe in, and we'll just notice with the 5 Archangel Michaels and what Archangel Michael's communicating here is that we're not missing anything, that nothing's being neglected, that it's okay for us to change, it's okay for us to adjust, and also it's okay to move past old fear. It's okay to heal the things that have happened in the past. It's okay to be present and to live in a new reality that is more serene, and it's okay to be present in that new reality. It's okay to be fully alive right now. So we'll just gently breathe into that. And let's say that out loud. It is safe for me to be fully alive right now. I actually exist right now. Thank you, Archangel Michael, for helping me. Thank you. Wonderful. With great grace, great peace, great love, and great joy, we'll just gently breathe in. And we thank the presence of Mother, Father, God, and all the archangels and ascended masters for all the goodness and grace that is here. We honor the 5 Archangel Michaels. We honor all the angels, goddesses, and guides. We honor all parts of ourselves. We honor all that is transformed, all that is healed, all that has been left behind, and all that is right here. And with great joy and great peace, we ask for this or something better right now in all directions of time. And so it is. Wonderful. Good work, everyone. Okay. Wonderful. So we'll just breathe in. We'll just notice what that landscape is like. And perhaps noticing being more present and more free. And just noticing, this is based on my own experience in talking a lot of people through things like this, that it's okay to make those changes. This may not be true for everyone, might be true for no one, but sometimes when we change something, like when we turn off the alarm, part of us goes like, well, wait a minute. And this is where we do engage with our conscious adult self, who knows like door, dog, window. And just noticing that it's okay for that part of you to exist. So to use different words, we're interrupting hypervigilance, which is okay for us to do. Okay, wonderful. I hope that feels good for everyone. Good, wonderful. How's that for you, Melanie?
Wonderful, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So with this said, with our conscious adult self present and the landscape change, let's just talk about a few things, okay? And Melanie's prepared some quotes and questions.
All right, so to begin, this quote comes from page 43 if you do have the book. And van der Kolk says that all trauma is pre-verbal. Even years later, traumatized people often have enormous difficulty telling other people what has happened to them. Their bodies re-experience terror, rage, and helplessness, as well as the impulse to fight or flee, but these feelings are almost impossible to articulate. Trauma by nature drives us to the edge of comprehension, cutting us off from language based on common experience or an imaginable past. So my question for this is, how do we ask for help when we may not have the capacity to communicate what we need? And how do we help others without specific knowledge of their experiences?
Anybody could relate to this? Anybody? Yeah. So I think that's part of our answer is that this is we're not isolated in this. What I notice being 56 and talking to a lot of people and just also being a person in the world is to recognize when someone's in that state and to not try to change it, but to honor it. And I think in that is a space we could hold for ourselves To recognize like, wow, I'm pretty shut down right now. That's interesting. And to be kind to ourselves. But notice if someone else we're talking to can no longer speak or is not present. And depending on the circumstance, is this coming to like, what is the highest good? And what is, this is kind of a theater thing in a way, like what's actually happening? What's the actual event? Which is if someone's having trauma come up, or indeed like a freeze response come up, that it's okay for that to be happening, but it's not going to, we're not going to get stuck there. But in the moment, to have a lot of respect for it and to not try to change it. But what we could do is provide comfort, which might be a cup of tea, glass of water, gentle language, and some kind of adjustment, or mainly some kind of acknowledgement of what's happening.
Reminds me a bit of the idea of everyone has a different love language. For some people it's gifting, for some people it's cooking, all these different things. So I guess learning sort of the love language or the care language for yourself and also for the people in your life who you care about when language maybe isn't cutting it.
Yep. Yes, something the angels said, I think 10 years ago, which is this is the moment where we work beyond words and become masters of love. That we are so consciousness driven and language driven. And maybe this gets into, the healing power of presence and being seen and heard, and just recognizing what's actually happening, coming back to that. What on the larger scale, America especially is growing up right now, and part of the growing up is a greater understanding of psychology and mental health. And because that's becoming more prevalent, and often through just our own experiences, the things that we're experiencing, that I noticed this, at places like New Renaissance or any spiritual community, and like even like right here, right now, of like, there's a commonality to our experiences, and where we can trust kindness and not try to fix everything. But this does come to, I talk a lot about changing things 1% at a time. And that's a legitimate thing. It might be half of 1%, which is, let's just work on being calm right now. Let's work on being present right now. And just see what happens with that. Yeah.
Well said. So the next quote that I have comes from page 46, and it's kind of near the top of the page in that second paragraph, and it says, under normal conditions, people react to a threat with a temporary increase in their stress hormones. As soon as the threat is over, the hormones dissipate and the body returns to normal. The stress hormones of traumatized people, in contrast, take much longer to return to baseline and spike quickly and disproportionately in response to mildly stressful stimuli. So, in what ways does this passage, which is, speaking specifically to adrenaline and other stress hormones, how does this give us a context for what we often refer to as overreacting and other emotional outbursts?
Great question. Anybody could relate to that experience? Anybody overreact to things, and just not putting it down, but just saying there's a reason why that's there, and there's a history to it. And this might get into some, Melanie and I talked about this yesterday, of to not compare our traumas. Oh, that was way worse for them. Our traumas are traumas, and they are very personal. And so if we could take off the table the judgment of our experience and the assessment, like I'm overreacting, or someone telling you you're overreacting, or telling someone else they're overreacting, there's a story there. There's a reason why that's happening. So that's just one context. And also there's something we could do for ourselves, like, wow, I'm having a big reaction to that. That's interesting. So we just discover these different elements of self-soothing that could be present. But just coming back to the validity of our feelings, the validity of our experience, that there's a reason why we're having the reactions that we do. This exact thing we're talking about now of under normal conditions, people react to a threat with temporary increase of stress hormones, and that when we have trauma, that the stress hormones kind of remain. That's really great information, isn't it? It's this fantastic information of recognizing, well, there's a reason why that's happening, and what can we do, which is, and just giving our body information like, you know what, I'm safe, it's okay. It's okay. And just doing self-soothing, soothing each other, and getting into with the people that we're close to an agreement about what perhaps when that's happening is a plan, what can best happen to facilitate more calm and more regulation in the physiological response that's happening. Also with that, Archangel Michael's saying, he's using the word dignity, that the dignity of the situation exists, which is, once again, there's a reason why that's happening. And it's okay for us to let something different happen without calling it wrong or bad. Yeah.
All right. So the next passage is from the next page, page 47. Again, kind of right near the top of the page there. And it's for 100 years or more, every textbook of psychology and psychotherapy has advised that some method of talking about distressing feelings can resolve them. However, as we've seen, the experience of trauma itself gets in the way of being able to do that. No matter how much insight and understanding we develop, the rational brain is basically impotent to talk to the emotional brain out of its own reality. So, that being said, how do we start to actively heal if our capacity for language is blocked? And what else can help to start or continue the healing process? So, in other words, how do we access and help the emotional brain in these situations?
That there's a shift, great question. There's a shift in how we approach this, which has basically been the answer to the first two questions, which is to look at how we're used to processing things and the understandable question of like what happened. Maybe what happened is not the most helpful question. And just getting into a space of recognizing what is happening now and that being the priority. And something that we said in the last couple of weeks, and as the angels have said for a long time, which is we are experts in our own pain. We don't need to linger there. We don't need to continually revisit that space. And so it's a searching for the solution in that moment. And this perhaps gives a different view to different forms of therapy and such, which is sometimes in talking to a lot of people over a lot of years, it's evident, usually people say they have anxiety or trauma or something. I don't ask what happened. I used to. I don't do that anymore. And why is it's evident? And just noticing that's going to get into a story. And what if we're working outside or beyond our story? And the story being usually pretty circular, and just seeing what's happening right now and what's possible right now. And it's not at all invalidating the story, but recognizing that there's power in this moment. And when we have trauma, that something's gotten frozen in the past, and we're continually reacting to that. That's what's happening in the brain. When we have a trauma, it has a lot of energy, and we repeat, trying to make it better. And this is where EMDR comes in handy and such. But to recognize you outside of the story. And it's not for a second invalidating this story, but it may not be the most helpful thing in terms of being re-traumatizing. Does that make sense?
Yep. Reminds me a bit, Vanderkolk says in the book that we sort of create cover stories
Yes.
that have a beginning, middle, and an end about our traumas and our lives to tell people, oh, this is what happened to me as sort of an explanation, but often that cover story doesn't actually have a true connection to your sensory experiences in the way that your body is experiencing the very fragmented memories
Mm-hmm.
of trauma.
Yeah, that's a great quote. That's what Melanie's quoting is on page 43, and just in that, it's the last paragraph. And it is enormously difficult to organize one's traumatic experiences into a coherent account, a narrative with a beginning, a middle, and end. And just seeing the moments in our lives or witnessing others who when they can't speak, and to honor that. Yeah.
Looks
Wonderful.
like Joel has his hand up.
Yeah, Joel, did you want to ask something?
Yeah, I'm only to part 2 of the book, so
That's all
apologies if
good.
this is covered, but,
Yeah.
you
Hmm.
mentioned EMDR. I'm
Hmm.
not familiar with that. If you could talk a little bit about what that
Sure.
is, and then also just maybe some methods to help get out of that cycle of the story for yourself or other people.
Yeah. Great questions. EMDR, the acronym is for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. It's a clunky name. It was developed at Stanford probably maybe 35, 40 years ago now. It is a system in which when emotion is present, that the therapist or practitioner um, will either it's done now with more mechanically, but it could be with their hand or with light, that you have your eyes follow their hand or the light back and forth. What you are doing is engaging both sides of your brain. So to take a step back, let's say that you and I were driving and we were almost in a car accident. At first, we would be silent. Then we start to talk about it, and half hour later, we're joking about it. That event is a time to process. When we have a trauma, it gets frozen. It does not process. So what this technique does is while there's an emotion present and there is your conscious mind is engaged with the activity of, let's say, having your eyes move, that it gives your unconscious mind room to articulate itself. And then that allows the energy of that event to move from one hemisphere of the brain to the other. It doesn't erase the memory, but it allows it to have a different integration. So it's a highly effective trauma technique. And it sounds very clinical, and now it is more. I did it for 7 years with a talented therapist, and it was transformative. Also, occasionally zero fun, and it was exhausting. I had to take a nap after because your brain's rewiring. But in terms of a trauma technique, it's a fantastic one. And we're going to do toward the end here in a little bit, we're going to practice the kind of halfway method, which is EFT, the tapping. But the other methods would be when we're in a story to do what we can to recognize that there's a tape playing, and just recognizing the value of the tape is to maintain being right where you are, which even though where the tape is playing might not be a pleasant thing, you're alive still where the tape is playing. And so it's recognizing the positive function of the ego, which is to keep you alive. And what we can do with that, and that may sound dramatic, but if we think of what's actually happening is when there's a trauma in place, that there is a sense of like life or death to it at the core of it. So we get to then perhaps add to the experience by being very alive. And that might come through sensory experiences. You know, it might come through anything that might feel good. This is where stretching or breathing in, drinking a big glass of water, playing your favorite music, you know, holding a crystal, taking a walk, looking at the colors of the flowers in the sky, doing something to add to the experience that interrupts the story and not making the story wrong or bad, but reminding yourself of how dexterous you are in the world and how big your life actually is. Does that resonate, Joel? And this is where, for everyone, where it's completely individual for everyone, what that's like. But the things that let us go like, okay. And then when the story wants to continue, this is something that I do after, you know, decades of therapy and lots of spiritual work, is like I know you're upset. I know. It's okay. You know, why don't you take a nap? I'll go handle all this stuff. But just talking to the part of ourselves that's upset or acknowledging what the story is. So by acknowledging that, if we think of, once again, there's lots of stuff here, but that the three elements of healing are acknowledgement, acceptance, and allowing. That we're acknowledging that there's a story happening. We're accepting something else can happen, that your brain could be free, and we're allowing that to happen. Okay. How's that sound, Melanie?
Wonderful.
Good.
Eloquent as always.
Good. I appreciate that. We're speaking from experience here, folks. So it's tough. This is all, you know, my goal in all this is to save everyone time, to save all of us time, you know, and if we could do anything to basically, what we're doing spiritually is we're shortening the distance between being triggered and being incoherence. That's it. And whatever that is, that's going to help in that. This is where it is individual of it's going to be a great thing, you know. And be it, you know, whatever image it is, you know, this is a picture of Carol Lombard, the silent film. She wasn't a silent film actress in the 30s. And this is just such a sassy picture, isn't it? It's also hard to take seriously, isn't it? You know? And just, this is on my desk of like, hey, you know, there's something else happening. And just seeing what works for you. Yeah. I just want to ask real quick, and then we'll get into the EFT of, anybody have a question about what was just said? Or a follow-up question that resonates? This is where we are the heroes in our own story. And that's not nonsense. That we know what's not working, and we're basically adding to the toolbox of like, oh, this really works for me. You know? Great. Wonderful. Melanie, did you want to bring up one more quote and then we'll do EFT or?
Yes.
Okay.
So, let's see. I guess this quote kind of has to do with EFT, so I'll do this one. This is from page 68. And it is, the challenge is not so much learning to accept the terrible things that have happened, but learning how to gain mastery over one's internal sensations and emotions. Sensing, naming, and identifying what is going on inside is the first step to recovery. Okay, my question is just, could you expand on that?
Mhm.
Sensing, naming, and identifying the internal experience.
That this is where acknowledgement is key. And the acknowledgement might be like, wow, that was really hard that happened, or wow, that was really messed up. And just that acknowledgement. And this is also something we could do for other people, which is like, wow, that must have been really hard. You know? And just seeing in having either be it a self-validation or an external validation, that the acknowledgement of that there has been a challenge is key to our healing. So we're interrupting the idea that it's just us, that all the narratives, oh, you're too sensitive, you're too this, you overreact, and taking those things off the table in terms of like just that acknowledgement of an experience that has happened. And what he talks about there of gaining mastery over one's internal sensations and emotions is knowing your internal landscape. What triggers you? What doesn't? You know, the opposite, the term glimmers of like the opposite of triggers, like what brings the endorphins forward, and where that could be really helpful for us. Yeah. Great question. Thank you, Melanie, for finding all those questions. Yeah. Lots of Post-its in the book. Yeah. Good deal. Thank you all for listening to all that. So I'm going to share, I know a couple people, maybe not a couple people on the phone, maybe not. I'm just going to share a chart. I'm going to talk you through EFT. We'll do that verbally, but just so you could see this chart, which is, so EFT or tapping is a system where we're going to tap meridian points. And the point of that is to create a change. And the method behind it, and I'll demonstrate it, and then we'll do it together, is to identify through acknowledgement what's happening, and then to identify the change that we want to make. And so we'll start with the karate chop point, which is the edge of the hand, like uploading a system. We can start doing this now if you want to, and we'll just go through slowly. And this gets into language, and the language here is, and I'm just going to use very general language. Even though something's gone wrong, I deeply love and appreciate myself. And then we're going to go to different points, which will start with essentially the middle of the brow, and we're just going to tap with both hands. You could do it with one if you want to. And we're going to say here, something's gone wrong. And then we're going to go to the side of the eyes. Something's gone wrong. And then under the eyes, like the eye socket, something's gone wrong. And then the upper lip, something's gone wrong. And under the chin, something's gone wrong. Then the collarbones, something's gone wrong. And then at the underarm, where it gets, we could just tap where it's a little tender, something's gone wrong. And then the top of the head, something's gone wrong. And then we do it again, and we're going to change the language, which is, I am safe and well right now. I'm safe and well right now. I'm safe and well right now. I am safe and well right now. I am safe and well right now. I am safe and well right now. And we'll go to the other underarm. I am safe and well right now. And the top of the head. I am safe and well right now. And that's it. So let's do that again, huh? Okay.
Can you show the karate point again?
Yeah, the karate point is basically the side of the hand on the opposite side of the thumb. And it's just basically we're going to tap that point.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And the deer are out, folks. The deer are never stressed. So good. So let's do that again, okay? Oh, did you have a question? AngelDrinkWine.com? Is Solange your name, or am I right?
No, my name is Angel Drinkwine.
Angel Drinkwine. Okay. Hi, Angel Drinkwine. What's your question?
Hi. Have they ever given any reason, or do you know why, when we say the questions, why we do the both poles, like why we do the negative And then the positive charge.
That it is, you're acknowledging the status quo that your body's in.
Okay.
And then by doing that, and I know like we're used to like, this is maybe slightly contradictory to what we were talking about before, like to we're not just trying to linger on the negative, but we're acknowledging what's happened.
Got it.
You could do that with very neutral language,
Yeah.
which
Okay.
is like stuff has happened, you know? But the main part is, so that's the acknowledgement, the healing power of acknowledgement. And so our body knows to slightly swear, our body knows we're bullshitting and we're not bullshitting, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just
Yep.
a space of recognizing, okay, so if we're telling the truth here, the truth is I allow everything to go well for me. And
Yeah.
that's where the relief comes. And we're quite literally putting that into our body system. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and it feels like an anti-toxic positivity situation, which feels good too. So
There's nothing,
Yeah.
this is pure authenticity. What I notice is this always works. Always. It always brings a sense of relief. So let's go through this again, okay? Wonderful. So we'll just take in a breath. We could do this together, and I'll call out which points we're addressing. So we're going to do the karate chop point on the side of the hand. And just using the language, even though things have gone wrong in the past, I deeply love and appreciate myself. Good. And we'll do the center of the eyebrows. We'll just simply say, things have gone wrong. And the side of the temples, things have gone wrong. And under the eye, things have gone wrong. And the center of the upper lip, things have gone wrong. And the chin, things have gone wrong. And the collarbone, things have gone wrong. And under the arm, things have gone wrong. And the top of the head, things have gone wrong. And we'll come back to the center of the eyebrows. I love my life and I thrive. I love my life and I thrive. And the temples, I love my life and I thrive. And under the eyes, I love my life and I thrive. And the upper lip, I love my life and I thrive. And the chin, I love my life and I thrive. And the collarbone, I love my life and I thrive. And under the arm, the other side, I love my life and I thrive. And the top of the head, I love my life and I thrive. And let's keep going. Let's do one more, and we'll change language. I'm always safe. So the eyebrows and the temples, I'm always safe. And under the eyes, I'm always safe. And just noticing the you who's saying this. Let's let it be the adult. And the upper lip, I'm always safe. And maybe there's a quality as we say this where we're talking to parts of ourselves. So the chin, I'm always safe. And the collarbone, I'm always safe. And under the arm, I'm always safe. And the top of the head, I'm always safe. So we'll just gently let that go. And maybe we place our hands on our heart. We'll just notice what's present, just noticing how you feel. And maybe we could just gently say out loud to ourselves, good job. Good job. Wonderful. So we'll just breathe in. And let's indeed just notice like what's vanished, what's present, what's available. And just noticing also who is the you who's just done that. Okay, good work, everyone.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
Just if anybody's, that was wonderful, because I've been tapping for 10 to 12 years now. And just to let everybody know, there's a lot of resources out there for this.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually an app called the Tapping app that does cost, but there's a lot of free YouTube ones.
There's
There's
a
a
lot
couple.
of free ones. Yeah.
Yeah, there's really, and there for every scenario, even for like the one on the Tapping app, they have a lot of Louise Hay's affirmations that are included for physical things.
Which is great. Yeah.
So
Thank you,
just let
Diane.
everybody know that. Yeah,
I
yeah.
appreciate that. Thank you. The chart.
I like the Merkala one, the lady that does on Dr. Merkala's website.
Uh-huh. Hmm?
She's like really, my mom was dying. When my mom was dying, someone
Mhm.
recommended, I went to her and it was like, I didn't know she was going to die like 3 days later, but she had this thing about your parent dying. Like,
Mhm.
I'm never going to see you in the chair again.
Mhm.
And it's, and I went through all that. And so that's what I really recommend is that the Merkala website, this is lady that does it.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you for that, Gillian. Yeah. The chart that we looked at was from a guy named Nick Ortner, who he calls EFT tapping, and he's got a big book, The Tapping Solution, I believe. And he's just, very honest guy.
He's the
And
one-
he's got a ton of free material on YouTube, a ton. And where he talks you through some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. Wonderful. Joni, did you have a question?
I do. You compared the two, the NDR or
EMDR?
the rolling of the eyes.
Yeah.
So that came before EFT.
I believe so. Ironically, EFT, it was someone's idea, but a guy named Gary Craig, who was the former husband of my dad's current wife, of 0 degrees of separation. He's the one who really made it into a thing, and then Nick Ortner is kind of like the main pertinent person. His sister, Nick Ortner's sister, does it also. I'm not sure of the order of that, to be honest. In my sense is that EMDR came forward, then EFT right after it. But if we could see on the planet right now are people who are innovating to bring us more peace.
Mm-hmm.
And we are part of that innovation. So there's an immediacy to that. And this is also like whatever works for you. But I find, at least just doing the couple rounds that we did, of like, there's a sense of refreshment that comes from doing EFT. Melanie, how do you feel after doing that?
Thank you.
I feel great. Refreshed.
Yes, yes. So the meridian points, which have interesting patterns of like, like this point of like off the nose, this whole pattern, like that's, we're giving our body fresh information. And there's also something to, yes, we want people to help us. We want to be part of community. There's an element of self-soothing that is immensely powerful. So I'm going to do this for myself with the goal of feeling better. Yeah. Wonderful. Good work, everyone. And just maybe with a wave or a thumbs up on things, do folks feel good? It's good to feel good, huh? And this is the goal, is to have solutions to add this to the toolbox. Thank you, Karen. Thanks, Melissa. Thanks, Joel. Wonderful. So we're going to begin to wrap up here. I really do appreciate your presence, and also just appreciate you having an experience and sharing an experience. And to recognize that help does exist. And it's great to try something once. If it doesn't resonate, great, we let it go. But if it does, let's keep going, And I appreciate, just want to honor Melanie for co-hosting and for finding these quotes and for sharing space. Appreciate that very much. Wonderful. And so next week will be our last section. Maybe we'll get into section 2 next week, but no one's counting. But there's a lot of great things to talk about. I hope maybe we all are, of like, just the value of this book is to articulate. He's just really good at articulating things to make it digestible. That makes the world bigger for us psychologically, to understand like there's a reason why something is happening. So we take away the narrative of you're to this or I'm to this or just get over it. It just takes that off the table and changes the conversation, which is one of our goals spiritually, is to let there be a compassionate and evolved conversation. There's a reason why the things are happening. And simultaneously, there are solutions for it. Yeah, wonderful. I really do appreciate all of you being here and for sharing the space. Thank you all for joining us. And so we'll post this on YouTube, on my YouTube, and Melanie will send it out. If your name's on the New Renaissance list, she'll send it out before next time. And I really do appreciate all of you being here. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for participation. And thank you for your presence. I wish you all a really good night.
Thank you. Thank you.
Night,
Thank you,
everyone.
Mark and Melanie.
Welcome.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Have a
Bye.
great evening, everyone. Thank you. Sleep well.
Yeah, you too.
Mhm.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, good night, everyone.
Good night.
Appreciate your presence. Yeah. Great.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
Mark, your guided meditations are wonderful, wonderful.
Good.
With
so glad.
Archangel Michael and all.
Good.
Yeah, going really deep with those. They're beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Lori. I
the
appreciate
energy's
that.
really coming through. I'm sure you hope you've heard that a lot, but it
I've
truly
heard that a
is.
lot, but this is my goal, which is to get out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. And
the
that's
goal-
why it works.
Get out of the way,
Yeah.
like, what do they say? And to
Yeah.
report what they say. you know?
Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Welcome. Thanks for sharing that, Lori. Wonderful. Okay, everyone. Dina, I'm going to talk with Melanie, and then I'll text you in a few minutes. Okay.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Good deal.
Bye.
Okay. Good work, everyone.
Thank you, Mark. That was fabulous. Thank
Thanks.
you, Melanie. Nice to meet
Thank
you.
you.
I'm Mark's
Nice to meet
sister.
you. Oh, nice to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you too. All right. We'll talk to
Bye.
you tonight, Mark.
Okay. Have
Good
a good
night.
night, everyone.
You too.
Thanks for
Good
being here.
night.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Right.